Hello and welcome to PraDa Law Live, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday. I'm Jackie Mendez. I'm your host for today's show. We have a great show lined up for you. We have a special guest, actually, and two of our favorite partners here at PraDa Law. Ladies and gentlemen, though, before I introduce everyone, I want to remind you this is a live show. There's a number on the screen. That number is 888-88-LEGAL. Give us a call at any time during the show, or just give us a call in general because the consultation's free. The call is free. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our special guest today. Today we have Oscar Chavez.
Hey, thank you, Jackie. Thank you, everybody at home.
And he's going to be talking to us a little bit about criminal law. And of course, we have our partner here, Daniel Silver.
Happy Friday, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. He's going to be telling us a little bit about family law, but rumor has it he was also a criminal lawyer. So I'm sure he's going to be giving us some great information. Ladies and gentlemen, and of course, the lovely Jennifer Pratt.
Thank you, Jackie, and happy Friday to all.
Okay, guys, so we're going to go ahead and start the show, but I just want to remind you, call in at any time. Number is 888-88-LEGAL.
And Jackie, I see that both you and I are in our Friday gear today. We're ready for the weekend.
We're ready for happy hour.
We are ready. We are ready, and with a lot of the restaurants now opened, 50% for the dine-ins, I'm really excited about hopefully getting a decent meal because it's been months since I've been out.
And it's really hot out, so I mean the whole outdoor dining here in Miami, it's hit or miss.
Right. These eyelashes start to fall, the makeup,
the rain,
the hair,
It's definitely been a struggle, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
We're moving along, and today is Friday, so we want to talk anything and everything about criminal, just in time for the weekend. We want to make sure you guys are aware of your rights, and typically we would have our special guest for criminal here today, but instead we have our amazing panel today, which is Attorney Silver, and we also have Oscar Chavez. And Oscar Chavez handles a lot of the immigration cases at the office. And one of the things we want to touch today is in the intersection, how these two areas of law, both immigration and criminal, actually intersect. And Daniel, I want to start with you today. A lot of people know you as the family law attorney, and I don't want to make any mistake. You are the family law attorney at PraDa Law. You handle all our family matters. But a little unknown secret that a lot of people may not know is that you actually started your career at the state attorney's office, correct?
I
can't picture you working for the state attorney's office. Can I just say that?
And after a certified legal internship at the state attorney's office, which was a great internship, but I couldn't see myself working for the state either.
But then you did work criminal, and my understanding is that you worked with some top-notch criminal attorneys. And I'd love to hear just a little bit about that background and some of the cases you worked on, and how that led you to family law, and what you think, how you think that helped as well. Lots of compound questions there. I know, Counselor.
I'll take them one by one. So everyone has to start somewhere, and in law school I was fascinated by criminal law, and I started at the state attorney's office as a certified legal intern, and then I got my first job working for an attorney named Mark Seiden, who was formerly partners with Roy Black, and we spent about 5 years working very complex criminal cases, everything from vehicular homicide cases to aggravated batteries to sex crimes and all sorts, and white collar crimes as well. Real heavy cases.
Wow, Roy Black. Which is Leah Black. Yeah, I've heard of him. Leah Black.
Justin Bieber.
That's right. When he was driving that Ferrari down in South Beach.
Yeah, and he was also, Professor Black was my law professor at University of Miami as well.
Wow, look at that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you see, we have very seasoned attorneys here at PraDa Law. Ladies and gentlemen, 888-88-LEGAL. That's the number you want to call. Call's free, consultation's free.
That's right, Jackie. And, one of the things with criminal law is that it's a very huge emphasis on evidence, correct? The rules of evidence. And I know that you've explained to me in the past that that's somewhat how you you made your way to family law, and you found that that knowledge was very useful in family law. And I know we've also spoken about how many of the great family law attorneys today started as criminal attorneys, whether it was at the state attorneys, public defenders, or in private practice. Isn't that true, Mr. Silver?
Absolutely. All criminal cases are built on evidence, and you have to know the evidence code, you have to know the Florida statutes, you need to know the hearsay exceptions, because in criminal cases there are statements, there's documentary evidence, there's all sorts of different evidence that the state is going to try and put into trial, and defense attorneys are going to move to exclude.
Objection.
Objection, ladies.
No, absolutely. And with family law, that's exactly one of the traits that I think really, really helps you. I mean, one of the things I was most impressed with when I first met Attorney Silver was just his mastery of the rules of evidence and how he's able to very quickly identify statements and be able to just call out all these objections that I think many attorneys, particularly in the family law area, don't often use them. And I know that amongst some of the family attorneys, the joke is that the rules of evidence are sort of suggestions. But I'll tell you, when you go into the courtroom with someone like Attorney Silver that knows the rules of evidence, and not only knows them, Jackie, because this isn't the movies. We don't just say objection to everything. In fact, sometimes, and I know you and I have talked about it, is you don't want to object because sometimes the evidence that's coming in is actually good for you.
Right, it helps the case.
I've had family cases where maybe someone talks about some child hearsay, and I know it's not admissible, but quite frankly, it may help my case.
Right.
So I may not object to that. And I've actually had a hearing one time where I didn't object to a lot of things that were helping me until something that came around wasn't good, and I objected, and the opposing counsel was like, wait, but he didn't object all that time. I'm like, no, I sure didn't, but with this one I want out.
Right, and again, this comes with years of experience and really understanding and knowing the rules of evidence.
What's important as well is that knowing the proper objections to opposing counsel's either direct or cross-examination questions, making sure that they lay the proper foundation and the proper predicate, and especially hearsay objections.
Right, because that's all a process, the entire case. They're listening to all the evidence. They're listening to what you're going to object to on both ends. So very interesting information. Thank you so much, Attorney Silver. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to remind everyone that number on the screen is 888-88-LEGAL. Happy Friday, by the way. And of course, this show is also so, everybody can, know their rights, protect themselves, and know that there is a place for you to call in case you do get in trouble this weekend.
That's right, and that's why we make the number so easy. You can give us a call over the weekend, and we're going to go to a short commercial break. But when we come back, I want to continue talking about criminal law. I also want to bring in Oscar Chavez and talk about immigration and some of the things that may happen to you this weekend or someone you know, and why it's important, similarly to criminal, to stay quiet and ask for an attorney. Oftentimes, we think that these officers are our friends, and the truth is, people, stay tuned because we're going to give you some good advice that may really, really help your case, whether it's immigration or criminal. We'll be right back after the break.
I know you're home right now asking yourself, how? How will I pay my rent, my mortgage, my bills, my credit card debt? I'm attorney Alexis Garcia with PraDa Law. I've personally helped people with financial problems over the last 10 years. I understand what you are going through. We saw people lose it all in the 2008 financial crisis. You don't have to lose it all. The consultation is free. Call us now. I will help protect what you have built. You have nothing to lose by calling us. Call us now. These are trying times. This deadly virus is affecting our health, economy, jobs, our small business owners. Bankruptcy protection may be able to save assets and immediately stop your creditors from harassing you. Small business owners, employees of business of any size, we know you need help. Call us now. We will help you get back on your feet. Don't wait until it's too late. This is the time to call.
Sé que estás en la casa ahora mismo preguntándote, ¿cómo? ¿Cómo voy a pagar la hipoteca, la renta, los biles, las tarjetas de crédito? Soy la abogada Jennifer Pratt con PraDa Law. Yo personalmente he ayudado a las personas con problemas financieros durante los últimos 10 años. Yo entiendo por lo que estás pasando. Vimos cómo la gente lo perdió todo durante la crisis financiera de 2008. No tienes que perderlo todo. Llama ahora. La consulta es gratis. Te ayudaremos a proteger todo lo que has construido durante todos estos años. Sabemos que estos son tiempos difíciles. Este virus mortal está amenazando nuestra salud, nuestra economía, nuestros empleos y a los propietarios de nuestras pequeñas empresas. La consulta es gratis. Llame ahora. Te ayudaremos a recuperarte. No esperes hasta que sea demasiado tarde. Llame ya.
Welcome back to PraDa Law Live, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Happy Friday once again. We've had a great conversation thus far. We've been talking a little bit about some criminal law, family law, and of course, we want to get right into asking Mr. Chavez a little bit about immigration. And I kind of want to see and tie in what what does someone getting arrested have to do with immigration? Like, how will that affect immigration?
That's a good question, Jackie, and thank you for the question. It all depends on the type of arrest. I think Attorney Silver brought up manslaughter, he brought aggravated battery. It depends. Sometimes misdemeanors and felonies, there's different types, third degree, there's second degree, there's first degree, and it also depends on your status. If you don't have a status in the country, then that could mean to deportation. You get detained and be deported straight back to your country. If you're an LPR, legal permanent resident, it could cause your residency to possibly be revoked. So the most important, which also piggybacks into something important now, the date of October 2nd, that October 2nd, the citizenship applications are going to increase in fees again by $500. Why do I bring that up? Because of the question you brought up. If you're an LPR, it could be revoked and it could cause you to be detained and possibly deported back to your home country. But if you're a U.S. citizen, you're going to avoid all those problems. You might not avoid jail time. That's something maybe Attorney Silver could talk about better. But I could tell you, the immigration-wise, it won't affect you anything there because you're legally here in the United States.
What's an LPR?
Yeah, that's what I was.
That's a legal permanent resident. So it's a step that you need to take in order to become a citizen, but you're a resident of the state that you're living in. So if right now we're in Florida, you'll be a resident of Florida. Maybe you're in Kentucky, maybe you're in Alabama, South Carolina, wherever you are. An LPR means you're a resident of that country. And it's typically, depends, it could be temporary for 2-3 years, and it could be permanent for 10 years, which you're gonna have to renew every 10 years, but you have your status for 10 years.
Okay, so October 2nd, a very important date that you mentioned. This affects the LPRs. They're going to be paying a $500 fee more for that application?
Correct, Jackie, correct.
Wow.
Same application.
For the same application.
correct.
To become a U.S. citizen.
Wow.
You're
Okay.
going to be an increase of $500. There's no increase at our office. So I know that usually we talk mostly immigration on the Latin show, but let me tell you, there's a lot of people here from the islands, from Europe, from Canada, that are here as legal permanent residents and maybe want to take advantage of, for example, being able to vote, being able to get certain governmental benefits that only a citizen can get. And of course, like Mr. Chavez is speaking about, very important, is if, God forbid, you find yourself arrested, whether it's misdemeanor, although not so much, but maybe, depending on the facts, and all the way to felonies, by being a citizen, you can avoid deportation to your native country.
Wow, okay, so a lot of important information. October 2nd, a very important date. If this applies to you, ladies and gentlemen, give us a call, 888-88-LEGAL. We'd love to find some solutions and help you out in your case.
And I want to specifically also talk to the folks that are second generation like myself, people that, you know, you're born, maybe you were, well, not myself specifically, but people who came to this country very, very young, where basically this is like your country, right? You are American. Your parents brought you over. You were maybe a baby, 1-2 years old, and you've probably
your life here than you have in your
you've
own
probably
country.
never even been to the native country for a lot of people,
Or speak the language.
or speak the language. And what happens is a lot of us get comfortable and we maybe forget that, like, we think, okay, we're American, and I'm not saying you're not, but if you're not a U.S. citizen, we have several cases, whether you're Jamaican, whether you're Cuban, American, where if you're only a resident, yes, you're legal in this country, congratulations, you're doing better than millions of other people. But if, God forbid, you catch yourself in some sort of criminal activity where you're now convicted, there could be an initiation of deportation proceedings against you, and you could find yourself being deported to Haiti, to Cuba, to whatever country you were born in, even though you've probably never even been.
Yeah, I have a couple friends that have, been in that situation, whether it be because they got arrested for, something as little as having marijuana in the car, and they've been deported. They've been at least, in trouble. They've been in trouble and almost gotten deported. So yeah, definitely know your rights, protect yourself, and give us a call, 888-88-LEGAL.
And if they had been citizens, they would not have been deported.
Right, if they'd been citizens. But
So I have something to add. Regardless if you're a defendant in a criminal case, an immigration case, a family case, you need to make sure that your social media is clean, because there are literally immigration investigators, law enforcement officers that literally sit behind the computer all day looking at social media profiles, looking at people that, hey, this person reported a very little amount of income, but they're driving around in a Rolls Royce and taking private jets. Something's not adding up. So state attorney's offices, law enforcement, both at the state and federal levels, are all looking at social media because it's so easy. They don't even have to get it. They don't even have to leave their law enforcement. They don't have to leave the police station.
And Attorney Silver and everyone here on the panel and everyone watching us right now, listening to us on the radio, how many of us have either known or heard of people who got caught because they went around on social media showing the big chains, the big piles of money, and before you know it, they got arrested, and you're thinking to yourself, how did I get caught? Well, you look through the social media, it's like America's dumbest criminal.
Right.
You're a convicted felon holding a firearm.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not funny, but it's like, come on, guys.
It is if you're a prosecutor.
And that's why we're here.
Right. Well, production is telling us we have to take a short break, but we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, that number is 888-88-LEGAL. Give us a call. The show is live, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
I know you're home right now asking yourself, how? How will I pay my rent, my mortgage, my bills, my credit card debt? I'm attorney Alexis Garcia with PraDa Law. I've personally helped people with financial problems over the last 10 years. I understand what you are going through. We saw people lose it all in the 2008 financial crisis. You don't have to lose it all. The consultation is free. Call us now. I will help protect what you have built. You have nothing to lose by calling us. Call us now. These are trying times. This deadly virus is affecting our health, economy, jobs, our small business owners. Bankruptcy protection may be able to save assets and immediately stop your creditors from harassing you. Small business owners, employees of business of any size, we know you need help. Call us now. We will help you get back on your feet. Don't wait until it's too late. This is the time to call.
Sé que estás en la casa ahora mismo preguntándote, ¿cómo? ¿Cómo voy a pagar la hipoteca, la renta, los biles, las tarjetas de crédito? Soy la abogada Jennifer Pratt con PraDa Law. Yo personalmente he ayudado a las personas con problemas financieros durante los últimos 10 años. Yo entiendo por lo que estás pasando. Vimos cómo la gente lo perdió todo durante la crisis financiera del 2008. No tienes que perderlo todo. Llama ahora. La consulta es gratis. Te ayudaremos a proteger todo lo que has construido durante todos estos años. Sabemos que estos son tiempos difíciles. Este virus mortal está amenazando nuestra salud, nuestra economía, nuestros empleos y a los propietarios de nuestras pequeñas empresas. La consulta es gratis. Llame ahora. Te ayudaremos a recuperarte. No esperes hasta que sea demasiado tarde. Llame ya.
Welcome back to PraDa Law Live, ladies and gentlemen. We've been talking, well, first of all, happy Friday once again. And it being Friday, that means the weekend is upon us. And so are social gatherings and, potential accidents, potential, mistakes. So we're here to give you the information that you need in order to kind of get out of that situation, right?
That's right, Jackie. We want to help people.
To help people. So ladies and gentlemen, 888-88-LEGAL, that's the number you want to call. The consultation's free and the call is free. I have a question for Mr. Chavez. We were talking a little bit about social media, so I wanted to know how can social media affect my case? How can social media affect an immigration case?
Well, specifically, we're talking about family petitions, specifically if it's like a petition from a husband and a wife, or even a K-1, which is fiancé visa petition, which is you're petitioning for your fiance in a foreign country. Mm-hmm. If your social media doesn't have her anywhere near, or if it has a lot of women around or a lot of other potential suitors, just to the way immigration is going to see it, they're going to say, okay, is this actual or real relationship? Are you really in love with her? Did you actually go to Colombia or Venezuela or Cuba to see her? Or did you go to meet all these other young ladies or women in your feed?
Exactly.
So it could confuse an immigration official or officer that's looking at your petition and be like, so which is the real relationship? The girl you're going to see, the one you petitioned for, or all the girls that are on your feed?
Right.
So it could be confusing for an officer if you have so many different people on your social media.
If you really want to confuse the officer, you could just be there with a bunch of dudes too. And then we're really going to confuse the officer.
That too, right?
I still don't think that's going to help your petition.
Or the other way around. It could be a homosexual relationship and they see you around a bunch of women.
And that we've seen at the office, if it's a homosexual relationship and then you're claiming it's 2 women, 2 men, which is perfectly legal, perfectly acceptable in the eyes of immigration, but then your social media, you're with a member, with another partner of the opposite sex, then that can also cause confusion and possibly a red flag in your immigration case.
Well, 888-88-LEGAL. That's the number you need to call if by any chance you're in any of these situations.
Attorney Silver, what about in the state context, whether it's criminal, family, particularly criminal, today's Friday, how is social media, how can it be used against you?
Well, first off, you have to remember that if you're getting arrested, you're going to be read your Miranda rights, and then an officer may say something to make you feel like he's your friend or he's got your back or he's there to help you, and his job is to arrest you. So if you are putting things on social media that a prosecutor or a law enforcement officer can find, you're doing their job for them. And especially, you see it all the time. Convicted felons pose on social media with pictures of firearms. And literally, you go to a probation violation hearing, the prosecutor hands a photo to the judge, and it's a slow plea of you're going back to prison.
A photo you've posted and you've put out there, so,
Yes.
And maybe you didn't post it. Maybe your friend posted it.
Exactly.
Okay, but these are the things that you need to be very cognizant in this new world, in this new age where everyone has a smartphone. I mean, you got 5-year-olds with smartphones.
I tell my clients, I say, look, in the context of a family case, if you're texting or you're emailing with your spouse, before you hit that send button, just picture yourself as the family court judge.
Right.
Is that judge going to want to see? Is that judge going to be offended? Or if you're in a criminal case, could this be used against me?
Right.
Look before you leap. Think before you post.
One of the best pieces of advice that I've heard you tell clients, Attorney Silver, is you tell them before you send that text. And I think this is really, really strong, and it can be used in any context, in any area of law. Imagine that text being blown up in a 5x5, huge blow up in courtroom. And I know right now everything's Zoom, but eventually we hope to go back to the court. I know I miss going physically, some cases, but with some, in some courtrooms. But anyway, but imagine it being blown up. Would you be sinking in your chair when that big text message gets blown up?
Your words that you wrote and thinking, wow, this potentially can put me behind bars.
And if I'm the attorney on the other end, I'm reading it out loud, and then you said this, right?
Yeah.
This, right? And then I'm gonna keep repeating it and repeating it. So just think of that before you send that text.
And not only that, it's not only what it said, it's maybe when it's said. Because I'll tell you what, some seemingly innocent text messages sent at 3 or 4 in the morning perhaps might not be a very good look in your family case.
Exactly. 888-88-LEGAL. Give us a call. You don't want to be stuck in any of these situations. We have the very seasoned attorneys here to help you in anything that you may need.
And in the context of personal injury, because it is Friday, obviously, God forbid, you are in an accident this weekend, whether it's your fault or not. One of the biggest mistakes that I see happen in personal injury cases is people as well. They get into a car accident and immediately begin to not take pictures. I want you to take pictures. I want you to have pictures. I want you to have videos of the accident. That's great. But what I don't want you to do is to open up your Facebook app and start a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live and start making statements, that can be used against you. And obviously, this can be used in the criminal context as well. I don't want you doing that. I don't want you to say things like, "I'm all right, though. I'm okay." And then, a day later, I'm sending a demand for $1 million. That's not going to add up. So certainly, and especially if the accident is your fault, guys, do not post these pictures and these videos on your social media. They can and will be used against you.
This is important evidence that, pertains to the case.
Should only be shared with your attorney.
That should only
not
be
with
shared.
your 3,000 or 40,000 followers.
Exactly.
Because they're all they're self-authenticating. If it's your post on your Facebook page, I may know the rules of evidence, but that's coming in. That's coming into evidence.
Exactly. Well, Mr. Chavez, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, our partners, Attorney Pratt, Attorney Silver. We want to thank you guys for joining us today, but please give us a call, okay, if you have any questions, 888-88-LEGAL.
That's right, and it's Friday. We're going to be signing off, but we've got about 10 seconds. Any last words for the people on Friday?
Just happy Friday. Have a safe, happy weekend.
Don't drink and drive. Don't give any statements. Invoke your Fifth Amendment. That means you stay quiet. Invoke your Sixth Amendment. That means ask for a lawyer. And when they ask you for a lawyer, let them know your attorneys are PraDa Law. Give us a call. First consultation's free. We'll try to help you, whether it's an immigration matter or a criminal matter. Do not speak. Stand your ground. Do not resist. We'll see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.